Hello, Broderick Wallace here once again, and I just listened back to the last video and I thought, oh my god, that's my new hoodie, the headphones underneath the hood, which is of thicker material. It was very muffled, the sound was very muffled, and I know that it's kind of like YouTube policy to profusely apologize for any lack in sound quality. Whatever. I'm not doing that again. We'll leave it. It's fine. I think it's got I don't know, some kind of, it has an artistic merit to it. It's, shoestring budget, right? So I'm making this video just to check that without the hood covering the mic on the headphones, that the sound comes out good. And after I've finished recording my reading of IIH, the whole book, I will then buy a better quality set of headphones for the channel. But I want to carry on with the same, volume, the same sound with these headphones for the whole of that reading. So, plus, I'd rather save the money for now. So, anyway, I thought, what can I talk about to make this little test video? And I was having a really long discussion with my friend Lucius Movina earlier on, who will very likely join me on the channel for a really long and detailed, I say discussion, but it's going to be framed more like an interview, really. I'm gonna let him, I'm gonna let him talk, because believe me, he really can talk. And we were discussing this and saying, well, everyone's got different opinions, and it's slightly different for everyone, because we are talking about consciousness related subjects here, which are very subjective for all of us, although we are the measuring point is the objective manifestation in many respects. So we've all got different opinions. We all have different internal experiences. Talking about my eyesight in the last video, I know that no one sees the world the way that I do. Yeah, it's its own thing, and I know that that's the same for every person listening right now. It's the same for every person that I meet. It's different, but there's probably more points of similarity than we tend to give credit for, but nonetheless. So we can have a very personal, opinionated experience of what it's like to work through the first step of initiation into Hermetics by Franz Bardon. And I will have my opinion. He will have his. There will be many points where we cross over, many, especially considering that we belong to the same school. But there will be so much that is different. So I think that will be a really cool thing. It would be lovely to imagine that different people would come on and they would relay their experiences as well, because this first step's really important, because this is how we come into or come onto the path. So there's a lot of time spent by people on the various groups on Facebook, etc., where they're talking about how to conquer these first, few challenges, how to see it, there's been a whole book or two that I can think of actually that were written specifically on this first step. So it's a big thing. So one day, perhaps someone will realize that I've already given mine. because I've already, my guide already exists. That's a little hint there for you. But I could go into more detail. Maybe I will later, but we will allow someone else to give their subjective experience of the process, which it'll be a good warm-up as well. So anyway, what got me thinking about this subjectivity thing? I was fishing for something elsewhere that I could include on the channel to test the sound, and I came across this, which is obviously written by myself. That picture there, that was taken underneath the tree that I was meditating underneath on a beautiful summer's day there in the UK. And I actually call that Merlin's Field, that place. I've got this sort of childhood kind of habit of, it's a little bit like when you're a kid and you used to like make maps and, give places like your own name. So you'd be wandering around, I don't know, between the back garden and the woods and next to it and the car park outside. But these would all be a little bit like Tolkien's Middle Earth. There'd be a map, and this would be the mountains of such and such, and so like I still carry this habit forward with me. I name places, and this is another tool towards positive magical thinking, as opposed to the negative connotation of magical thinking, which I actually discussed on my music channel. Funnily enough, there are a few occult based videos on my music channel. Anyway, so there I am in Merlin's Field, and I think this is very Buddhist. I'm going to say that, like, I'm not going to be the first person to have this realization, because this does remind me of things that I've read about in Buddhism, and this does relate to the first step, the greatest challenge of the first step. So, reading here, each individual moment is different. As I was saying, it's different for everybody, but this is the constant change within us. So, starting again, each individual moment is different. A consistent flickering barrage of noticings are like a kaleidoscope that are similar to and become thoughts. Noticing the noticing and turning this off leads into a smoother consistency of vacancy. I've put there, thank me later. Well, whatever. But like, obviously I wrote, I've written something and I've uploaded that, and then as your journey goes forward, you're having new insights all the time. You're learning new things, and this does remind me of, I think it was the Dhammapada, or it was the commentary upon the Dhammapada that I was reading, where it talked about I hope I'm correct here, going from memory, where it talked about when the Buddha is going so deep in meditation that it's almost like he's reaching like a kind of quantum level, like this like where they talk about, if you look at where light can be seen as a wave or a particle, it's like he's gotten right down to the constituent particle or particularized nature of a moment of realization or consciousness within meditation. Like, this could just be a single second, like time. The perception of time is probably a factor here. So this is something that all of a sudden became apparent to me on this particular day underneath the tree. And what is it about trees? Again, I have hinted at this, but we will expand upon this further, definitely. Trees are very important. Anyway, so you notice, because you're so extremely focused on not thinking, like you're just existing, you're just, as my teacher would say, energetically engaged. Great phrase there. Always give credit where credit's due. I would never pretend that I come up with something if I haven't. I will always be honest about that. It's always very important. So this energetic engagement, which is the perfect description for the deep state of vacancy that we're looking for. You see, you can't be worrying about it, can you? You just have to be doing it. Again, it's a bit like my new hoodie. Just do it. Oh dear. Anyway, so you are just fixed within that moment, and there is an awareness of almost like snapshots of consciousness, of noticings, of realizations, of moments. As it says here, a flickering barrage of noticings are like a kaleidoscope. And then you realize these are the thoughts, because these are the what would you call it? If the smoothness of perception is somehow fractured by the interjection of the thoughts, of the noticings become thoughts. And when you're in a deep state, you know, it's like you can get so much out of just a single moment, because you're in vacancy, because you're so used to letting everything just be as you are energetically engaged, and you don't care. I did make this analogy before to difficult times in life, where it's like, I don't care about anything, I'm just gonna, you know, this is terrible, but I did say this in the past. I was wrong, but there's still something to be said for when you're so depressed you don't care about anything. There is something about that to this process. So you don't care, and even though your mind is so sharp because it's so energetically engaged, you turn off the noticing capacity, and then you just are just there breathing, but you're not thinking about breathing. Your face is somewhere, your body is positioned through habit you maintain posture, and then you just are. And I tell you what, that is a sweet place to be. So, coming up in future, more opinions without violating any privacy, or, you know, in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of situations. There's so much that can't be said, but there is so much that can be said. And these individual moments, these noticings, will be different for different people. So the idea is that we begin to introduce some of these other subjective points from these other sentient nodes of the fractured Godhead upon the path. Whatever. Oh, anyway, bedtime. Take care.